Hey, just playing my slowing it down music. We are stuck at home in the coronavirus times. Been talking to my friends about creativity, following that to their full potential, I guess you would say. People having a good time, making a living, and I've been trying to get inside what is driving people and what is making people how do you get to where you're great? How do you get to where you feel great? How do you find success? And I think it's just being true to who you are, identifying what makes you happy, and doing it as much as you can. And I got a great guest here, one of my good buddies from a long time ago, and I'm going to punch him right in, Seth MacFarlane. And I have known Seth since 1995 when he was my brother Patrick's college roommate at the Rhode Island School of Design. He was hilarious, and I was doing these wacky films with my brother, and I think Seth dug them, and we kind of kept in touch over the years. At the time, I was pursuing sort of a live action comedy career. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. I was shooting funny shorts with my brother. I was doing a lot of improv. I had done some stand up. At the time, I was living in New York when Family Guy called, when Seth called. So, I had just been following my deal for 8 years. I just kind of decided I wanted to be funny for a living. And so I moved to LA and I did stand up, and I did some classes at the Groundlings Theater. And then I moved back to Virginia and was shooting short films, and then moved on up to New York. And that was right around the time I met Seth. And Seth and I kept in touch after I had met him, and had hold on, let me get Seth joining here. I thought I punched him in. Seth and I had sort of cracked each other up back in 95, 96, there he is. And yeah, I was just
How you
telling the
doing?
story of how we met. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Are you stuck in your tiny apartment?
I am. I'm stuck in my little cube. Yep.
Yeah. You know what? You know what's awesome is that I lived in a one-room apartment for a couple years when I first set out on this comedy trail, and I know you did too. I think you posted something, the small apartment where you drew the presentation for Family Guy.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I did spend about 6 months in the one-bedroom apartment that I lived in I guess it was I think it was God, I think part of it was in Hollywood and part of it was in Glendale. And
Oh,
um and I
right on the border there.
right on the border, yeah.
All right.
And spent, nights and weekends animating by hand
Mm-hmm.
the Family Guy pilot, and I'd been an animation major in college,
I
and
know.
there was no real budget to produce a true pilot in the fashion that we're used to doing it now. So I really had to do it all like it was a second student film.
Yeah. So let's back it up. So it's pretty well documented that you realized pretty early that you loved to draw, and you were funny with your comic strips that you drew and your musical. Like, was that just kind of it for you? Did you just say, I want to do this stuff always, and then that led you to RISD, or was there any other consideration?
It was one of those things that it was just kind of a given from childhood for me. I was drawing when I was about 2 years old. I would sit in front of the TV and try and copy images that I saw, like the Fred Flintstones and Woody Woodpeckers and Bugs Bunnies, and
Yeah.
my parents saved some of them, so we have some very
Yeah.
very crude attempts at the Flintstones from when I was about two. Um, and it was just kind of with me from the start, and
Yeah.
I spent most of my childhood trying to figure out in an era where there was not anywhere near the information that there is now at your fingertips. And I looked for books. I looked for anything that I could find that would explain to me how exactly these things were made.
Right. So yeah, I guess that would be the equivalent of me looking in the World Almanac for baseball stadium addresses and writing
Yeah.
fan mail.
Yes,
To
I think
kind of dig deep for your passion.
Exactly.
So, I talked to a bunch of people last week, Seth Green and Jenny Johnson among them, Rob Hubel, and we talked about, I'm really not into fame and fortune, unfortunately, so I'm not going to grovel.
So
But
how do you handle it, Mike?
No, I'm into your mindset. I'm into the mindset of all these people took chances. All these people like had other careers or, just packed their car up and moved to LA and said, I'm going to do this because that's what I got to do. And
Right.
so you were extremely fortunate for a number of reasons. You were born with immense talent. You were focused on it early. Your parents supported you, and you work harder literally than anyone else that I know. Your drive is ridiculous. So when you first moved to LA, and actually you were Patrick's roommate, my brother's roommate at RISD, and I went up there and I did some wacky characters in some of his films, and he introduced me to you as the guy that does 500 voices of like Jack Benny and like old timey guys and new guys, and I saw he was stand up, I think.
We were basically room. I mean, I spent so much time at his place. He was actually in the apartment like right down the street from me.
Okay.
And he was, like whenever I would have like my Jack Tripper moments where I would get locked out of my house in my robe, which happened twice.
Right.
That's where I would go.
Right. One of my, just a small anecdote about my brother, he lived with somebody named Jonathan. And so he and Jonathan had a joke. And so he left a note in his bedroom window that said, "Fuck you, Jonathan, you dick." And apparently his next door neighbor, who he did not know, was also named Jonathan. He came over and was very upset with him. But that has nothing to do with well, actually, it's something. It's passion for comedy. So you did Life of Larry, which is on a DVD or online somewhere, which is basically Family Guy. And what was it, like 5 minutes, 7 minutes? How long was it?
It was Life in college. Well, the student film was probably about 12 minutes.
Was it that long? Okay. Because I remember it had the Tom Hanks, you have AIDS joke. Peter Griffin thinks that's hilarious because everything Tom Hanks says is hilarious. And your professors, I remember Patrick telling me, were just telling you, you can't do this. You cannot do this. Is that true?
In the kindest possible way. And I can't stress enough every time I say this, like how supportive my professors were at RISD. It's like whenever I tell this story, it's like I almost feel guilty because it's really not. The tone was so not how it sounds. But they said, listen, this is your one chance to do something truly expressive and something that is a real piece of art that's from your soul.
Yes.
And I feel like you're wasting it on what is essentially a lot of bathroom humor.
Right.
And I said, I understand where you're coming from. It's too late to turn back.
Yeah.
We did the screening for the annual student film screening, and the thing got a bunch of laughs.
Yes,
and they said, you know what? They said, this is you're kind of heading where you need to be heading, and more power to you. So it's good. I mean, that if that hadn't played that well at the student show, I might be in a different career.
Of course, yeah, and I would dare say it is a piece of art from your soul. And I don't know how many episodes we've made. What, 350, 400, something like that. So
you might know better than me. Does that include? That's just Family Guy, right?
Correct. Yeah, I don't know. And I think American Dad premieres tonight as well. So we'll plug that real quick.
I think it might.
You've done all this stuff. You've created all these shows. You created the Cleveland show with me, which we made it to syndication, and that's beautiful. And American Dad's been running forever, and Family Guy's been running forever. The Orville is rocking right now. You did the Ted movies, A Million Ways to Die. You do music albums. There were a couple little hiccups in there. I remember Family Guy was canceled for a while, and I'm curious what was your mindset? I just remember I would always call you and I would say, any word, if it's coming
That's
back, because
right.
there was all these rumblings.
That's
And
right.
but did you lose? Was that a confidence blow? I mean, did you lose faith in that piece of art that came from your soul at all? Did you, or where were you on that?
I didn't really know what, I had nothing to compare it to. I mean, it was a strange situation because I was still under a deal at 20th, and
Mhm.
they canceled the show and they said, look, we're ending this thing, but we still want to stay in business with you,
Right,
and we still want you to create shows for us. And
right,
so that was a good, that kind of helped to ease the pain.
sure,
So it wasn't like I was being kicked out on my ass. It was made very clear that they wanted to remain partners, and I during that time I wrote on a couple of other shows. I
Mhm.
co-created a live action sitcom that didn't
Simon.
go anywhere. Simon, yeah,
I remember that.
that went nowhere.
It was funny.
Yeah, and
Um,
pretty much it.
and then the call came, and then we were all, loving it. We got the band back together, and it's been an amazing. I mean, 22 years. We started that in June of '98. So it's been pretty amazing. So when you first moved to LA, you didn't like to drive on the highway. You
No,
like, what was that like? Did you drive out, or did your parents fly out and then you bought a used car, or how was, and when you finished at RISD, did you have a job? You had a job at Hanna-Barbera. Was that all lined up
my
when you
first
moved to
job,
LA?
my first
Yeah.
job at Hanna-Barbera, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo. Yeah,
And
yeah.
and how had they seen Life of Larry?
They had seen the student film that I had done
Hmm.
in college,
Yeah, Life of
and
Larry.
they
Yeah.
hired me off of it. Yeah.
Okay. And so what was your job there?
Uh, I was working for Johnny Bravo.
Okay.
I was working for Cow and Chicken. I was working for Dexter's Lab.
But what were you doing? Were you drawing characters, or were you
Writing,
doing
writing
story?
storyboards, a lot of
Okay.
different things.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you do it. That's right. You would do it all on those shows.
Hmm.
I got you. And that's that the picture that I posted of us was taken then. I think that was '96. Does that
Was that
sound
it? That
about
was
right?
in Hanna-Barbera. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Went over there and
I was looking at the stuff on the wall, trying to figure it out.
yeah. Yeah. So then you're working at Hanna-Barbera. Then Life of Larry found its way to somebody at Fox. Is that right? Like,
Yeah.
where was your mindset at this point? Were you thinking I got to get this Life of Larry out to as many people as I can because I want to turn this into a show? Or are you just like,
This the
hell yeah, I'm
Simpsons
working
had
at
become a
Hanna-Barbera?
huge. The Simpsons had become a huge hit. I wanted to be a Disney animator, and The Simpsons became a huge hit, and that completely changed my trajectory.
Hmm.
And it was really about prime time television. That was what it became for me, and that was kind of the first step. I mean, that Hanna-Barbera they invented the genre.
Yeah.
It was just
Was there
start.
anything scary about moving to LA? I mean, other
Oh
than
yeah.
just,
Oh,
I mean,
tiny town,
did you
tiny
ever
town.
consider not doing it, or were you just like, I got to do this and
Thought
whatever
about
it
it. Thought
takes?
about it. It was scary. It was scary. I mean, it was a huge place, and compared to where I came from,
Right.
and it was a bit of a culture shock
Yeah.
coming from a town with 600 people.
Right, right. So then how long were you at Hanna-Barbera before you started? And did somebody call you? You went in for a meeting with
I was there.
the folks at Fox?
I was probably there about. I was at Hanna-Barbera. How long was I? I was probably about 2 years before before Fox got a hold of the student film.
And were you scraping by? Were you barely making enough to live in the big city and
I
driving
was I
old
was
white
yeah, I
Tercel?
was renting a condo from my friend, um,
Uh-huh.
furnished with my friend's used furniture and that I was buying from them, and it's yeah, it was I think I was borrowing money from my mom's best friend to
Hmm.
try and pay my bill. Like it was definitely a struggle at the
Right.
beginning to
Do you
to even just make ends
do
meet.
you think fondly about that time? Like it was a simpler time where you could go outside and not get
Not
mobbed, and
Not
it was
necessarily, and not. I mean,
okay.
I mean, I do. Yes, I do. I do miss actually animating. That there was a fulfilling kind of feeling to that I do kind of miss. But I don't miss I don't miss the struggle.
Right.
I don't miss wondering how the hell I was gonna,
Yeah.
you know, because I didn't really cook, and so I was like buying prepared meals, and
Yeah. A lot of
that was
salt
like
in those.
a lot of salt
Yeah.
and very expensive, and I couldn't afford it, and so I that I don't miss. I don't miss figuring out how the hell I was gonna,
But
pay
you
for
knew,
food.
but once you were out here, once you were out in LA, there's no turning back. I mean, you were in. It's like I'm
Hmm.
going, and
Yeah, yeah.
did you feel like, and it's a cornball question maybe, but did you feel like you were destined to like do something amazing, or did you just like doing what you were
No,
doing and so you did it?
I think a lot of it has to do with luck, luck and time. I mean, it's hard work and it's luck and it's timing. It's a confluence of all those things.
That's
Um,
exactly what happened for me when you called with Family Guy. I was 8 years into my journey, having lived in LA, doing stand up at coffee shops and waiting
mhm,
tables, and back to Richmond, Virginia, shooting shorts with Patrick, going up to
mhm.
RISD, shooting his films, in New York, doing stuff with UCB, auditioning for commercials. And I really wanted to be on SNL. And that's where my mindset was. And then you called because we had kept in touch, and I'd show you my Dristex BM shorts or whatever,
Yes.
the silly commercial parodies we were doing, and you would call me, and I'd throw in a joke or two on the presentation. And I was actually Zoom teaching a class at USC today and talking about teamwork. And one thing that you are great at and have done is you've surrounded yourself with people to help you fulfill your vision, help you bring it all to life. And I use the example actually that I was doing my stuff and I'd put my little crew together to shoot stuff, but I would also help you with jokes or whatever, and you never know what's gonna pop. And so
Yeah.
I was 8 years into my journey. I was ready when you called. I walked into the writer's room having never written a half-hour show, but
Hmm.
you brought me in to write gags and create characters, which worked out wonderfully. So, I'm just trying to get people fired up to do their thing,
Yeah.
basically. And
It's about
you know,
surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you are.
absolutely, yeah.
Um,
Like on
and and
Orville, like
and
all the visual effects people and all the
yeah,
set builder, like it's amazing. You walk on that set,
let them do their jobs. You can be Hitler or FDR. You
right?
can micromanage everything, or you can recognize that everyone around you uh, is an expert at their field,
Yeah,
and you are not going to know their job better than they're going to know their job. But if you know how to focus their talent, then you don't. I mean, it's takes the load off, and you're going to get a better result. And so and I think in all facets of leadership, that is true.
yeah.
Whether it's entertainment, whether it's political, it's all about surrounding yourself with people
People who are
who,
smarter, yeah,
yeah,
and
people
and
who, when
managing
you
them,
ask it, who it's a, you ask them questions like, hey, how would we do this? How do
right?
we accomplish this? And they can tell you because they know and you don't. And then once you have that information,
Right.
you cross-index it with what everyone else is telling you, and it's the same in all forms of leadership. And that's how Family Guy has survived, and that's how the Orville has survived, and that's, it's a great team, and I'd love to take credit for all of it, but even something like Brian and Stewie,
Hmm.
Gary Janetti, who's a
Yeah.
writer on the show.
I'm talking to Gary on Wednesday.
Yeah, he looked at those two characters and had the idea of pairing them. That was not my idea, and
Did he really?
and
Okay.
that was his. That was around, the first season of the show. He kind of hit upon that,
All right.
and it's a perfect example of again surrounding yourself with talented people who can take what you've done and make it better. And
Drop
that's
safely.
that's really that's the secret to success, I
There
think.
you go. I know you're kind of short on time. I know you got some Orville editing to do, and I appreciate you taking this time. What do you? I mean, what I always tell people who are like either stuck in a rut with work or they're young people trying to figure out what they want to do, I simply tell people, you already know what you want to do. Like
Hmm.
deep down, you know what you want to do. You just have to do it and make it. You have to actualize it. I was making the Dristex BM, commercial parody of a guy couldn't smell dog shit until he tried the nose spray that what I call Dristex BM. I spent a couple weeks like shooting this whole thing and putting it together. And the sound engineer, when we were mixing it, said, "You know what? The difference between you and everybody else is everybody else makes this joke. They talk about it, but you go and you fucking do it." And, you know, and I think that's really what you have to do. People are always saying, how do I get on Family Guy? And you know, my thought is just go make your own stuff, you know, and maybe you'll end up on Family Guy if that's what you really want to do, but just go make your own stuff and get it out there and have as many people see it as you can, like you did with
And
Life
it's
of
much
Larry.
easier
And
now. It's much
yeah,
easier now with the technology, and there are tools that we just didn't have at that
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
All right,
Well, you
man.
want to jump, buddy? I know you're itching to go. You good?
Yeah, we're editing the Orville by remote, believe it or not.
Okay,
So
so
that
what episode number are you cutting? Or is it a bunch of...
we jump around a little bit. We're cutting 3 at the moment.
And how many have you shot? And I know you probably have stuff left to shoot for whatever you have shot. But...
Well, we've shot about probably the equivalent of about 6. We've been jumping around.
Okay.
You
Out of
know,
13, how many are you making?
out of 11.
11. Okay. All right. Sweet. Well, anything else you want to tell the people, Seth?
I think you covered it all. I think you covered it all.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you jumping on. I'm going to stay on live for a couple minutes, but
Do it.
I'll let you roll. And thanks, man.
All right, Mike.
All right. We'll talk soon.
See you later.
All right, bye. There he goes. All right. Seth reached out to me right before we went on and said he was like really stressed and wanted to jump right back into his edit. But I can look down here at this feed and answer some questions maybe, because hey, I'm not editing a friggin' show. I'm just hanging out doing little Instagram lives, which I got some great people lined up this week. I got Mr. Craig Robinson. You know him from The Office, Hot Tub Time Machine, Dolomite, maybe from the Cleveland Show. He played Freight Train, Cleveland's dad. And he's going to be on tomorrow night, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with him. And then on Wednesday, I got Gary Janetti, who Seth was just speaking about, who wrote an awesome book, which I'll post some pictures of, called Do You Mind If I Cancel? And it is an amazing book. It's anecdotes from his life growing up in New York and finding his way in life and in comedy. And it's kind of everything that I'm into talking about as far as those moments that define you. And Gary is a wonderful guy, and he writes on Family Guy. I met him there at the beginning. He's gone on to do other things, and he came back, and he's there part-time now while he writes other stuff. And I got some other folks lined up for later in the week, but I want to get their dates nailed down for Thursday and Friday. All right, Jay Lee Film. Jay Lee's going to be on here later this week. My good friend, when I met Jay Lee, he was the receptionist at Family Guy, and now he is a series regular on the Orville as an actor. And he's living the dream through all kinds of hustle. You wish Seth weren't so stressed. Yeah, I mean, he's driven. You know, my favorite lyricist, Bono, which is true. How does it go on The Fly? It's no secret that ambition bites the nails of success. So, you know, there's something. Yes, and my favorite urologist is either Barrett Gilbert or Ed Henson, who actually gave each other vasectomies. And I joke that they did it at the same time. Hey, Mike, got any voice acting tips? Create authentic characters. Don't just do voices, do personalities, people with wants and needs. Consuelo wants to do things her own way. Cleveland just wants peace and happiness. Herbert, well, he wants the forbidden, which he is never going to catch because he's a modern day coyote to the Roadrunner. And I just touched my face. And what else we got? My beautiful wife, Sarah. Hi. I wish I was with him so I could take care of him, like give him a massage. Well, he might not mind that. Baird and Ed, scary. I got kicked off. Sorry. All right. I'm just going to please do a Cleveland voice. Hi, my name is Cleveland Brown. Dwayne Megan. Who asked me? Dwayne Megan was... Dwayne Megan sort of talked like this. He had been hit upside his head one time. He was news correspondent on Cleveland show. Uh-oh, tornado coming. Time to evacuate the area. I don't know where that voice came from other than utter gibberish. How close did I get to SNL? So that's from my good friend Al Thompson, who I met in New York City. And Al, I want you to do one of these days. I'm going to reach out to you. Al is a great actor, and I met Al at an acting class down in on Hudson Street, I think, at the bottom of Manhattan. And I met Al when I was doing classes with the Upright Citizens Brigade, and I was shooting short films with my brother Patrick for Lorne Michaels, his Burly Bear college cable network. And you can see all of these short films, by the way, on a website that I put up, sort of an archival thing called crosseyedtv.com. There's no hyphen or anything. It's just crosseyedtv.com. And we shot all these shorts. And if you scroll down when you get on that site, you can see a bunch of indexes of the shorts, or indices of the shorts. And Al is in a couple of them and is hilarious. And I'd say I was probably about a year away from a serious audition on SNL. I was developing characters, and I was getting in. You know, I'd met Lorne Michaels doing these shorts and had some people helping out. You know, people liked me on the inside and liked Patrick, and we were gonna start making stuff. And then Seth called, and it was kind of a gut decision, honestly. It wasn't, Family Guy was not a no-brainer decision for me, because I wasn't that into animation, and I was into, you know, I wanted to be a live action comedy actor, and I still do, actually. So I'm working on some other stuff on the side, but I'd say I was probably about a year away from a real audition. And how long do you think Family Guy will be around? Forever. At least the ones we've already made. I hope we keep making them indefinitely. Family Guy is the second longest running primetime comedy in television history, and the longest running one is The Simpsons, and they've got us by, I think, about 10 years. But these shows have run for so long because the actors don't age. Stewie is not 23 now; he's still 1. So the actors don't age. You know, you can control it, and it apparently works very well in other countries because they just dub voices in, and it's you know, a big old cool thing to do. And so yeah, so that's how long I hope Family Guy runs. I hope it lasts forever too. Please. Will I be on the Orville season 3? I will be on there a bit. It was, I live in Virginia. I'm actually in Richmond, Virginia right now. I play Lieutenant Dan on the Orville in a heavy prosthetic, and it's tough logistically for me to be there. Their schedule is sort of fluid and changes a lot, and I go to LA a lot, but it's hard to fit in that schedule, and it's really hard to keep putting that outfit on. So I will be in season 3 a tiny bit, and I really appreciate Seth working with me, you know, on that and giving me that opportunity to be on that show, because it's a great bunch of people. Jay Lee, I mentioned, will be on later this week on Thursday or Friday, and I appreciate that. He does a great job on the cast, and you know, all of them. Peter Macon as Bortus, and Chad Coleman as Clyden, his Mocklin companion, and then of course Scott Grimes, Adrian Palicki, and who am I forgetting? Penny Johnson. I can't remember her new last name. Gerald, maybe. She is wonderful, and of course Seth does a great job carrying that show on camera. How long does it take for you to get into costume on the Orville? It takes 2 hours to get that mask on. They put a cowl over my head. It's like a big Nerf thing that has a neck, and then they start painting me around the eyes, and then they put a face piece on, and then they have to glue that down to my face so that my expressions can carry it. And I'm seeing funny things scroll by here, and then they gotta glue it all on. They gotta paint me up, and then blah blah blah, and it takes about 45 minutes to get it off. Do the Herbert voice, please. Herbert, yeah, old Herbert. like a spark in a dry forest. You have an old man with one pedophile joke in the Family Guy writer's room, and there you go. Let's see, what is my favorite Family Guy episode? It is the Cleveland Loretta Quagmire, because my brother Patrick and I wrote it, and that was Cleveland's first sort of story, I think, on a Family Guy episode, and he, it was just really fun, so I love it. Who else we got here? Do I ever nap during the mask up while on the Orville? I wish I could fall asleep. I do zone out. Who is my favorite character voice? Cleveland. I love doing Cleveland. Cleveland is basically me. And, there you go. Viner wants to be on the show. All right, Jordan Rubin, I will have Viner on just for you and Viner. I was going to call Viner anyway. John Viner, hilarious voice actor and writer and on-screen actor, and just generally great guy. He would be the first to say that wasn't true, but it is true. So why is Apu racist and not me? That is not for me to say. I'm coming from a place of love. I'm not sure. Who are my favorite SNL cast members? I was a huge Chevy Chase fan. He came on when I was 10. That's when that show started. I just thought he was just frigging so funny. And then moving forward, Chris Farley, Will Ferrell, those are the ones that come to mind. And Seth Green coming back on with me again. Maybe. I want to just see how many folks I can get on, and then how long the quarantine lasts and what this turns into. Hey, maybe this turns into a talk show or a podcast or something. Then I would love to have people. Cleveland is a gentle soul. Thank you. I agree. Holly Del Rey, what's up? Chevy, thumbs up. Chevy was really, really funny. What do I think of SNL now? I don't really watch it that much. I catch little sketches here and there. I think they've got a lot of talented people. It is a really hard thing to do, is to write a show on Tuesday night and then craft it and then put it on live 4 days later. That's really something else. What else we got? Any update on a pilot that I wrote? Oh, wait, can I please do Consuela? No. I wrote a pilot and I shot it here in Virginia a couple years ago, and it did not sell, but I think it's pretty good. I'll put it online sometime. Steve Martin was another hero. Somebody was just asking about him. Really, Steve Martin and Chevy Chase were my comic heroes. And you know what? What the heck? I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to show you guys something really cool. All right. There. Those are made out of plaster and storyboards. And I'm going to show you that I got to meet my heroes. Steve Martin, The Jerk, was my favorite movie ever. He signed my poster for me. Carl Reiner signed it. And I got to work with Carl. And when I met Steve, he was totally nice. And then Chevy, to my John Cocteau style, Chevy Chase. So that right there, I felt like I had conquered all of my dreams. So I don't really like to, I don't know. I'm happy to share that I met my, all right, I'm back on. Hey, so I got to meet Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, David Lynch. The filmmaker is a huge fan of mine. I'm a fan of mine. Don't repeat that. I'm reading something as I'm talking. I am a huge fan of David Lynch, and he is very nice to me and I think likes me. So he did his voice on the Cleveland show. I do not mean to say David Lynch is a huge fan of mine. I was reading something else when I said that. No one's a huge fan of mine, except for, well, my kids are, nah, I don't think they appreciate me. Yeah, they do. They love me. They're huge fans of mine, and my wife. But everyone else, I don't know. Who can I say? That reminds me, the Fletch poster reminds me of a funny joke that we did in, I think, season 2 of Family Guy, where we did a sign gag. There was something going on, like at a church or something, and then you do what's called a sign gag, where you have an establishing shot of the church that just shows where the scene's happening. And the church had the little marquee out front. I think it was for a high school, actually, not a church. And it said, tonight, whatever's going on, whatever had to do with the story, tomorrow night, the Dyslexic Film Society presents Chevy Chase and Felch. So we got that on the air, which I was pretty happy about. What's the most comfortable I've been with saying a certain... yeah. Do I ever get uncomfortable saying Herbert lines? Some are just ridiculous. So, yeah. I mean, we'll kind of get to a point of reason on some of those things. So, yeah. So, which old-time movies do I like to watch? Like old-time movies. The Wizard of Oz. Just watched it the other night with my daughter. And that is... You can't beat The Wizard of Oz. And what else? If old-time movies means the first 3 Star Wars movies, then we'll count those too. Yeah. All right. At some point. Thank you. I love you guys too. Yeah. I don't know. I'm good. I'm good. Everybody good out there? I knew Seth wouldn't be able to go the whole time, but I wanted to chat a little bit more, really just about inspiration and just going for it. I mean, I know Seth inspires a lot of people, and he's been a great friend to me and a great collaborator. And I just think, can I answer some questions in Cleveland's voice? I will answer this one in Cleveland's voice. Yes. So somebody said, oh man, I missed him talking to Seth. I think it will be on my story for the next 24 hours once I end this little live thing. Oh no, somebody wants Bruce's voice. Mike, what are you and Sarah watching on Netflix? Okay, we're behind the curve and we have one more episode, but we have watched Fleabag like maniacs for the last 3 or 4 days. And I absolutely love Fleabag. So, yeah, so Fleabag. We're behind the times, but we just caught it, and I cannot say enough good stuff about that show. Will RJ ever bone his girlfriend? Okay, that's from Mike Desolate. So what's up, Mikey D? RJ is a character who appears in Family Guy for a couple of years, who always says when something goes wrong, oh man, I was just about to bone my girlfriend, but now there's no way. He's actually in the first Star Wars parody that we did on Family Guy. So that guy's name is RJ. Well, does Seth not write anymore on Family Guy? No, Seth is all about the Orville right now. He is carrying that show on camera. He directs a lot of the episodes. He writes a lot of the episodes and simply does not have time. But he does still do his voices. And the head writers on Family Guy are Rich Appel and Alex Sulkin, who are both very good at that, and we still have a very high bar or a low bar for comedy, depending on how you look at it. And it's one of those things Seth was talking about, surrounding yourself with good people that can just keep it going. Is Mike Desolate as cool as he looks? Yes. Tiger King, yes, we watched Tiger King. And that's just all about America, huh? What a great country. What else? Carol Baskin. As Cleveland would say. So, yeah. Hey, my cousin Mile is on here. Hi, you're not behind. We haven't watched it either. You got to watch it. It's hilarious. You call my place a Fleabag? Yeah, I do. All right, some of these are inside jokes. What else? Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say right now. Anybody have anything cool? Just watch Blue Harvest. Hey, thanks. That's the first. Did you watch the actual movie or the Family Guy parody? Blue Harvest was the working title for the first Star Wars movie, I believe. And that's what we called one of ours. Who's my favorite character to voice? Cleveland. Are you guys going to do more Star Wars episodes? Probably not. Family Guy on Broadway, I'll play Meg. Family Guy on Broadway, that could be pretty sweet. All right, Al Thompson, are you asking me from, hold on. Talk about your love for Earth, Wind, and Fire. I grew up singing falsetto, Philip Bailey, and just love Earth, Wind, and Fire. Love everything about them. I was introduced to them by my neighbor Larry Smith, and he showed me his albums, and we listened to them. And then my friend Gordon Statinius and I would listen to them, and then other people would listen to them. And I learned all those songs and sang them all the time. And then when the Cleveland show happened, I got to record a song with Earth, Wind, and Fire with Philip Bailey, Verdine White, Ralph Johnson, and the horn section, and all the guys, and am now friendly with the entire band. And that song is called Get Your Hump On This Christmas, and it is by Earth, Wind, and Fire featuring Cleveland Brown. So if you go on iTunes, there's also an awesome video for it. I'm gonna have to post that sometime. But Earth, Wind, and Fire is just all about love and joy and peace and positivity, and they are just the coolest. And I can't say enough good things about them. They are other heroes I've got to meet. So I got to meet Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, David Lynch, Johnny Bench was my boyhood baseball player hero. He did the Cleveland show and is a great guy, and I keep in touch with him. And you know, it's just surreal, the people that you get to meet working on these things. It's pretty freaking cool. Met Larry Mullen Jr. from U2, ended up meeting the whole band, and you know, it's just cool. It's cool when you meet people who you admire and they're cool. Yes, I'm just Jackson on American Dad, and it's basically just me. Hey Stan, how you doing? Oh, it's just sort of happy-go-lucky me. And yeah, they're premiering tonight. Family Guy movie, I tell you, that will happen at some point. I guarantee it, because Seth wants to do it, and I think everyone wants to do it for every reason. You know, that's going to happen at some point, and that'll be when Seth has time to focus on it and be a big part of it. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Sing it. Is that I could do, nah, I won't do it. I was going to do the Cleveland rap, but I've done it too many times. Show everyone the Earth, Wind, and Fire picture. Oh, that's up in my office. So I don't know. I'll show that another time. Yeah, man. So what I'm really excited about is, I think this coronavirus time sucks. I mean, the bottom line is, it is horrible for many, many, many people. It is a difficult time, but I do believe that there's a silver lining in all of this, and I believe I know, as far as me personally, I'm in a fortunate situation, but I'm also think that I'm feeling something a lot of people might be thinking. It's sort of just a recalibration. It's a reset. It's a kind of a hold on, I will answer your question by getting into the business in a moment. I think that, if I can get to it, the questions go and then they leave. David Beadle, yes, I do remember hosting What Do You Do? How are you and Jonathan doing, buddy? I appreciate that. Back in the time, that's when I was hustling. But my point on the whole thing is, I think I personally am realizing a lot of stuff that I just don't need to go back to doing once this is over, as far as where I put my energy into things. And I feel like maybe a lot of people are doing that and will do that, because you're just sort of figuring out what's important. And, you know, so as hard as this is, and as weird as this is, and challenging and tough for everybody, I do think in the long run, there will be good things coming out of this. What was that question that somebody asked me a second ago? I'm scrolling. Oh, advice on getting into the entertainment business. So if you want to be an actor or a writer or a producer or a director, simply do those things. Just do them. And if you want to be an actor, be in every freaking thing you can get in. Student films, shoot stuff yourself. Same thing with directing. If you direct commercials, real low budget commercials. Your friend has a lawnmower shop, make a commercial for him. Just do your craft. Do it. You can shoot stuff for $100. You can do it for, you can shoot it on your phone. You can shoot it, you can cut it on your phone, cut it on your laptop. You can do it all now. Just do it. Just make your stuff. I was talking to some kids today, and they're designing video games, and they were asking me about, a certain aspect that I think a certain type of comedy would play in those. And I was like, well, can you make that? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, make it, see how it works. Just do your thing. You have to make it. Just like Seth made the Family Guy parody or presentation. You just have to do it. And yeah. So will I be in TED 3? I hope there is a TED 3, and I hope that I'm in it. That's all I can say. No, no, no. All right. I feel like I'm sort of just rambling at this point, but I will mention somebody's asking me what it was like working with the great legend Adam West. It was an absolute treat, treasure, privilege. He is the greatest spirit, and he was as nice as he could possibly be, affable, funny, just he was the best. I really, really enjoyed Adam West. Every time I saw him, he was just so nice and made you feel special and was just cool as shit. So somewhere there's somewhere there's a video of me giving him a tour around Family Guy back. It's on one of the DVD extras. My old friend and neighbor Jeff Mays just asked me to do Bo. And Bo was I'm not sure what was up with Bo, but he lived in our apartment complex and he just sort of looked like this all the time and smoked cigarettes. And he would go underwater and stay underwater for like 5 minutes. So that's Bo. Anyway, that's all I got. Well, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. And, I would say as far as doing what you want to do, just do it. And deep inside what you want to do. At the end of the day, when the lights are out and you close your eyes and you really feel what you want to do, just find a way to do it. It's hard. It's hard to do a lot of these things. But just find a way and stick to it. Follow your passion. Follow your passion to a place that doesn't exist until you get there, is what I like to say. So, yeah. So please tune in tomorrow night. Craig Robinson will be hanging out. He is so freaking funny. Maybe we'll do a little freight train in Cleveland, and I'll post some stuff about that. And then Gary Giannetti will be up on Wednesday, and we'll talk about his creative path. And this is just something that feels like the thing to do while we're hanging out on on coronavirus time. So that's it. All right. Well, I think you guys are awesome, and thanks for tuning in. All right. Have a great night.